Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 313 for September 12th, 2023. I am your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, Aaron Rodgers' season with the Jets lasted all of 4 plays. 2 teams have clinched playoff spots in the CFL, and Joe Burrow and Nick Bosa get paid. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Yes, I am back from vacation. I am ready to go. Let's do this thing.
Okay. No frivolities today.
I ain't got much. I ain't got much for you.
Okay. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and the YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel with the handle at the World of Football, as well as other selected videos, like an episode of Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast. Episodes 5 and 6 are out there right now with you and your brother-in-law Kyle.
We did 2 of them in a week. We got one before I went on vacation and one when I got back from vacation.
Yep. You also did a history lesson.
Before I went to vacation.
Second time you've ever done a history lesson.
Only time I've done a history lesson.
Well, you did one when I was gone. You did a history lesson.
Well, that was an audio version only.
True.
This is my first on-camera when we transitioned to video history lesson.
I say it's your second. But anyway, you did a history lesson on the history of the Lions and Chiefs.
Yep, very fitting. You know, I figured, hey, big game coming up, and what a time for people to familiarize themselves with the great rivalry that is the Lions versus Chiefs, and look what kind of game we got.
Yeah. And we also put up a weekly picks video, our first one of the season last week. Got another one coming in a day or so.
Yep.
So check out and see how we did on our picks last week.
Yeah, and if you participated, check out and see how you compared to everybody else.
Yep. And on the way this week, like I said, our week 2 picks. We have another history lesson hopefully coming this week, and another episode of Have Grave Will Travel.
Yeah, we'll see where that gets fit in.
So much going on around here, I'm telling you.
I know you love it.
So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football Scoreboard.
That's right, everybody. As we all know, it is week 1 of the 2023 NFL season. I'm excited. You're excited. We've all watched every single moment of, as I dropped my phone, every single moment of this weekend's action that we could.
I watched every single moment of the Lions game this Thursday.
Which I could unfortunately not do. Like I thought I could. Didn't meet anybody with a TV in their RV or anything. So
it's on my DVR right now if you want
to
watch the whole thing.
I've watched all the highlights. I've watched all the talking heads talk about it. And obviously on the podcast, Kyle and I talked all about that. I'm just lying around. So we'll just start there then. The Lions opened up the season against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead and gave them a 21-20 beatdown. I guess I can't really call it a beatdown, but the Lions got the victory.
They won, and that's all that matters.
They held their own at the end and did what a lot of teams can't do, and that stopped Patrick Mahomes with time left on the clock at the end of the game. So, not a perfect game by either team by any means. Yes, the Chiefs were missing 2 great players in Chris Jones and Travis KELCE. Chris Jones, who did sign a big contract, or at least a 1-year deal, finally inked that with the team, so he'll be back with the Chiefs. KELCE should be healthy enough to play next week, but you play the team that's in front of you, and like I said, the Lions did what they were supposed to do. They went in, and they beat the team that was in front of them, regardless of who played and who didn't. And I haven't really talked to you about this game.
No.
Since being back. So what are your thoughts on the Lions Chiefs?
It just goes to show you how important KELCE is to that team. Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, he's one of the best tight ends to ever play the game.
So many dropped passes. I think I saw a stat that in the first half, Mahomes was like 8 of 10 passing.
To wide receivers,
Yeah, and in the second half, he was like 2 of 12. He only completed 2 passes in the second half.
To wide receivers. So
But
yeah, that stat was floating around. But yeah, definitely not
so
great.
many drop passes.
The second half, the Lions stopped them on all 7 third down attempts for the Chiefs. So that's something that's rare for that Chiefs offense. I mean, they still have a heck of a defense. That defensive line, even without Chris Jones, was still getting some penetration. Yeah, there was some false starts that got missed throughout the game. Some holdings that I think got missed during the game. So we'll see if that changes for Detroit. Maybe Aiden Hutchinson will finally get some quarterback sacks in the coming weeks. But
just a great game.
Yeah,
I was a little worried at the end. I thought, oh boy, they were in a position where where Kansas City had the ball. They were down by a point, but they had the ball and they were working their way down the field, but they just couldn't get it done.
That's what I was saying.
Detroit did.
That's what I'm saying. When that's a situation where Patrick Mahomes usually finds his way out of, and Detroit was able to just put up the defense and stop him. Like, how rare is that?
We didn't sack Patrick Mahomes, did we?
I don't think they got.
We chased him all over the place, but he kept getting away. And they might have gotten to him, but he got the ball off at the last second. So
I think they said he was hurried 5 times, maybe. They got those other weird stats that I'm like, I don't know how you constitute a hurry, but whatever. But it said the Lions, I mean, they would get some pressure, but I think Hutchinson, was chasing him around back there.
Right.
I do think the Chiefs got away with a few holdings, and even on some of the replays I watched, I was like, really, like, how did that get missed?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still Patrick Mahomes, and he's got the legs to move. He got like 45 yards rushing. So
no, it was a good game. I was so happy. Normally, when the Lions lose, I don't watch any of the post game stuff because it's all about the other team. But this time I was up till 1:30 in the morning watching everything I could.
Man.
Every ESPN show, every NFL Network show. I was even watching stuff on my phone that wasn't on TV. The post-game press conferences in the locker room for the Lions and stuff like that. I was just soaking in everything I could. It was so satisfying for them to win that game. And hopefully this is a good omen for the season. I mean, you look at Detroit's last 2 games at Green Bay, where they stopped Aaron Rodgers from getting into the playoffs on their home field in January in Green Bay. Awesome win there. And now in Kansas City on a night when they unveiled their new banner for the 3 Super Bowls they've got against Patrick Mahomes, against that crowd.
Against one of the best head coaches in Andy Reid.
So, I mean, those 2 games so far this year, they picked up right where they left off at the end of the year. And I believe Detroit is the only team that is now 2-0 this season. I mean, this year, in 2023.
Oh, yeah, because they technically played.
Right, because at the end of this year, they said, there was a graphic somewhere that said, Kansas City and Detroit, the only 2 undefeated teams this year.
Well, yeah, because Kansas City literally won all those games to get to the Super Bowl. So.
Right. But now, Kansas City has lost this year, and a bunch of other teams have wins, but nobody is 2-0 this year except for the Detroit Lions in 2023. So there's a stat for you.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, I'm sure people are tired of hearing us talk Lions.
Oh, I could talk about them all day.
You should come on the Just Lying Around podcast sometime. All right, we're going to move on. I'm not going to say we're going to fly through the rest of these games, but if you got thoughts on them, let me know.
Okay.
The first game we're going to talk about, the Atlanta Falcons got a 24-10 victory over the Carolina Panthers. I think, that rookie running back, Bijan Robinson, looked awesome. Looked great, as advertised. So can't wait to see more of him, see what he does the rest of the year.
Didn't see much of that game.
Didn't see much of that one? No. All right, then we will move on. The Baltimore Ravens got a 25-9 win over the Texans.
Didn't see much of that one either.
All right, the Cleveland Browns shocked the Cincinnati Bengals 24-3.
That was a shock to me.
It was a bit of a shock. Joe Burrow, you thought he'd at least put up some points with some of his weapons, but that Cleveland defense came to play. They might be a team to look out for this season. Again, we don't want to do too much overreacting. It's week one.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. Moving on, then the Jacksonville Jaguars got a win over the Indianapolis Colts 31-21, but how about Richardson for the Colts? Looking pretty solid as a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I saw some highlights from that game. Both teams, played fairly well. They should both do well.
It seemed like a fairly close game, but the Jags were able to pull it out there.
Yep.
And another shocker, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a 20-17 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Baker Mayfield, congratulations. That dude, I thought when I was able to watch that game, because I had just gotten home and caught the tail end of that game. That was the first game I was able to watch all weekend. He just looked like he was playing with a big old chip on his shoulder. I saw him scrambling and running down a dude. He like ran him over, got in his face, did a little bit of chirping. I'm like, all right, Baker, like that's kind of what I like to see. I like seeing, Baker. I was hoping Baker would do decent in Tampa Bay.
Mad Baker or Mean Baker.
Mean Baker. I mean, that's kind of what I want now. I want Mean Baker. So, and against the Vikings, who we thought would run away with that one, but Tampa Bay, definitely not making it easy. The New Orleans Saints getting a 16-15 victory over the Tennessee Titans in the debut for new Saints quarterback. I was almost going to say Drew Brees, Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, yeah.
Yep. The 49ers just totally blew the Steelers out of the water 30-7.
That was a big surprise.
Yeah, I thought the Steelers would at least hang in there, but oh man, the 49ers proved to probably be the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, I didn't know that Purdy was back already. I thought he was, going to be a little while yet before they
initially thought he'd be out for a long time. But he came back and got the start.
Okay.
The Washington Commanders behind quarterback Sam Howell defeated the Arizona Cardinals 20-16. The Green Bay Packers behind Jordan Love defeated the Chicago Bears 38-20.
Now I did watch a good share amount of this game.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the new Packers?
They looked better than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
I wasn't sold on Jordan Love, but he played well, and the Bears stunk up the place.
See, I thought the Bears would be the team, kind of on the rise there, but I mean, I'm a little surprised. Do you think the Packers are a team to be worried about?
I don't know at this point.
It is tough to say because, I mean, they're two teams that we expected to be kind of bad this year, playing each other, so who knows if it was just a bad team making another bad team look better.
It's going to take a few weeks to really decide, are these good teams, or are they really good, or are they really bad, the ones that won and lost?
Yeah, speaking of that, you got the Las Vegas Raiders who beat the Denver Broncos 17-16. A very ugly game there.
That didn't surprise me.
What a heck of a performance by Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa as the Dolphins defeated the Chargers 36-34 out in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people were shocked by that, but I mean, could Miami have the best offense in the league now? They were humming.
Can Tua stay healthy?
That's the question. If Tua could stay healthy, that team could go some places.
Right, yeah.
And Tyreek Hill, we always knew was a great receiver, and he just put up some monster stats.
Yeah, I just don't know about the durability of Tua.
Yeah,
we'll have to see as the season goes along.
The Philadelphia Eagles went into Foxborough and got a narrow win over the Patriots 25-20. I was listening to this on the radio, and I heard Darius Slay get an interception return for a touchdown, which I was happy about. I like Darius Slay, former Lion, now with the Eagles, so I was rooting for him. Former Lion Matt Stafford and the Rams defeated the Seattle Seahawks 30-13 in Seattle. Bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I didn't think that Stafford would play that well in Week 1. I don't know
After
if he
being hurt so long.
Right, yeah, he was hurt all last year. I didn't know. I couldn't tell you if he played in the preseason much at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't follow the Rams.
But he put up over 300 yards in that game, and that really surprised me. I mean, that's the Matthew Stafford we know. Yeah. So on the one hand, it didn't surprise me, but I just didn't know how well he was going to be, coming off of a year of injury.
Yeah, I sat down I watched the highlights for that Seahawks game because, obviously we previewed the Seahawks. That's who the Lions play next week. And the first half, I thought, very evenly matched. But then second half, it looked like Matt Stafford was just able to pick apart that Seattle defense just bit by bit with a no-name rookie receiver. I couldn't even tell you his name at the top of my head, but he's been the talk of the town, in fantasy land because that was like his main target. Some dude I've never heard of.
Yeah, because Cooper Kupp didn't play.
Yeah, he's on injured reserve for the next 4 weeks.
Okay, 4 weeks.
With a knee, I think. So, that be something to watch out for.
Yeah.
Then we get to the big nationally televised games. Sunday night football was supposed to be a heck of a celebration, in New York, and I think it's cool that both the Monday night and Sunday night games are actually in New York at the same stadium. They said that's the first time they've had back-to-back games at MetLife or for the Giants and Jets since 1987, I want to say. Because I thought that was weird that the Giants and the Jets would play in that stadium just a night apart.
Yeah.
But they also said there was a bunch of other stuff that stadium hosted all weekend. So those people at that stadium were busy swapping over everything every day. So, but that first game, Sunday night, the Dallas Cowboys went in and just absolutely demolished the New York Giants 42-0. That's right,
Yeah.
goose egg. The Giants are the only team in Week 1 to not score any points.
Yeah.
I was watching this game and I turned it off after 19-0. I was like, wow, I just can't believe how bad. It seemed like everything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Giants. Like the crazy blocked kick for a touchdown, the, just I don't know how much of a factor the rain was, but Daniel Jones just didn't look sharp. The Cowboys defense looked absolutely incredible. Micah Parsons was getting so much pressure every time I was watching. I was like, how do you stop that guy? Number 11 there for the defense, just absolutely a monster. But I don't know if you watched any of that game.
I saw a little bit of it, and like you, they were up 19-0 or whatever, and I stopped watching after that, and I saw the final score the next morning, 40-0.
All right, and then finally the Monday night game last night saw the New York Jets get the victory over the Bills, 22-16. That definitely not where I saw that game going, especially considering everything that went down in this game. Obviously, I didn't get to see the opening ceremony type stuff. I saw it after the fact.
I didn't either.
But Aaron Rodgers running out with the American flag and the
crowd
spotlight
was just
on
going
him,
crazy.
on September 11th on the 22nd anniversary of 9/11.
Yes.
It just kind of gave you chills a little bit. I was like, I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan.
They were all coaches were wearing the fire department hats.
I like they all did that, even for the Giants and Cowboys they did. But I just that kind of moment did give me chills. I was like, wow, like Aaron Rodgers just running out with an American flag. How kind of cool is that? And then the Bills get their opening drive, and then I don't think they scored at all. But then the Jets on their opening drive run not one, not two, not three, but 4 plays with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback before he goes down with an injury that at first just kind of looked like I thought he was faking it. I was just like, oh, here we go. Here's Rodgers just making a big deal of nothing. Then he gets carted off the field, and then we hear about it being a very scary injury and how now we all know he's out with an Achilles injury for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, out for the year.
Unbelievable. I mean, say what you will. I know you're not a big Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan either. But I was curious what this New York Jets team was going to look like with Aaron Rodgers. Would they live up to that hype, or would they crash and burn? And it does suck that 4 plays in, all of that came crashing down.
Yeah.
All of it. I mean, yes, they came out with a win. You can blame some really weird, bad quarterback play by Josh Allen. Threw 3 picks to the same dude. What was it? Witherspoon was his name? He had 3 interceptions. That guy, number 3 for the Jets. Unbelievable. How do you get 3 interceptions? I just don't think he had that many in his career, and he got 3 in one game.
Yeah. Looking back on that game last night, I didn't watch. I watched it up until Rodgers got hurt, and I watched it a little bit more. And then I was doing some other stuff, and I came back after halftime and kind of watched the rest of the game. But these were 2 bad teams on Monday Night Football. The Bills looked terrible. The Jets looked terrible. It was just who was going to make the first mistake and lose this game, because nobody was playing well enough to win.
It looked like a lot of rust being shaken off, because there were times where I thought Allen looked great. He's throwing some darts he's got a couple of great receivers, Diggs and Davis. He was getting some passes into. He looked like he had all the weapons, but they just couldn't punch it in. That Jets defense might be for real. That defense stepped up, and then you had Zach Wilson, who did look like a chicken with his head cut off at a lot of points.
Yeah.
And then that touchdown by Garrett Wilson, where he tipped it to himself and caught it. Unbelievable. Did you catch that, or were you not paying attention?
I don't think I saw that one.
That was one of the best catches, because it was kind of thrown a little bit ahead of Wilson, and he kind of tipped it back and was able to kind of wrangle it in as he fell to the ground. It was just, I couldn't believe it.
For a touchdown?
Yeah, for the touchdown.
Okay, I did see that.
That was just something I was just like, whoa, you got to be kidding me. That was incredible. But I mean, Zach Wilson, who knows? I mean, year 3, if he could improve. I mean, clearly he wasn't ready to start week 1.
Right.
And it did look like both teams were shaking off some rust. But what I liked was that the kid who scored the punt return for a touchdown in overtime, Gibson was featured on Hard Knocks, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I didn't watch that Hard Knocks episode till after the game, so I watched it today before we recorded. And boy, that kind of changes some perspective on some things. But good for him. He was an undrafted rookie free agent. And they gave him and another undrafted rookie free agent wide receiver got to make the team. And he gets that punt return and scores. And that's kind of a cool thing that they kind of brought around. Well, not that it was scripted, but I just thought it was cool from seeing him on Hard Knocks, finally getting featured. Like, oh, who's this guy we're gonna learn about? And then to have the moment in the show where he thinks he's getting cut, but they're actually saying you're on the team, and he makes that play week 1 to win the game for him.
Right.
Unbelievable. And then just for the Jets to come back at all, for the Jets to overcome that Aaron Rodgers injury, which did you see the fan flip off the camera like during the middle of the game?
No,
they got the still making the rounds on the internet. But as soon as I saw it, I knew I would see it everywhere on the internet. And sure enough, that's true. But that it went from the Jets being there in that despair at that moment to utter just like, I can't believe we just pulled out a victory at the end of the game in overtime. So
but a lot of people are saying that there was a tripping penalty that wasn't called on that return, so it should have been, the touchdown should not have counted, and whatever. They still probably would have kicked a field goal or whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of academic. But one of the highlights that I did see.
Anticlimactic?
Well, yeah.
Academic.
Well, one of the highlights that I did see is just before the game, the national anthem that they had.
Yeah.
They had an American flag that went. It was the entire field. All you could see was the end zones. It was like from sideline to sideline, huge thing. And so they had this girl doing the national anthem, and she was a New York firefighter. She was in her her dress uniform. So because the flag took up the whole field, she was up in like in the upper deck at one of the luxury suites or something. So she's on this balcony singing with a microphone. That was awesome. She did an awesome rendition. Just that gave me chills seeing her give that national anthem rendition on 9/11. As a firefighter. So check that out. I think I saw that as a clip on social media. So look that up. That was awesome. I couldn't tell you her name, but she was a New York firefighter. So that was the agony and the ecstasy last night on Monday Night Football. I was interested to see how Rodgers was going to do, and I only had to wait 4 plays to find out that his season's over.
Yeah,
of course, we didn't know it last night. And I thought it was just he might have got stepped on, or he stubbed his toe, so let's take him out for a series or two. And I totally expected to come back after a play or two, but when he came back and then they said he's not coming back tonight, I'm like, this could be serious.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't look that bad.
No, but I mean, then I saw people with the close-up video of his calf muscle. You could see it. They said like that little spasm. Like they zoomed in. They said as soon as they saw that little like spasm or like the way it kind of popped a little bit, they that's what that injury is.
Yeah, I think if you sever your Achilles tendon, it like goes all the way up to your knee.
Yeah,
it's like a rubber band.
You could probably find that clip. It was a little.
Yeah, I don't need to see that. I do not need to see that up close. From the replays that I saw, it didn't look that bad, but it obviously is. So,
what a great week 1 of it, and we got 17 more weeks of this. I'm glad that NFL football is back. Yeah. All the drama, all the great stories, and now we're gonna move on to some Canadian football. That's right, everybody. I love Canada. And I want to still give the CFL its due.
Yeah, this is the time of year when the CFL kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I mean, now that NFL's back, you've got college football, high school football on Friday nights, NFL. The CFL just does kind of get lost, but they're still out there. They're still playing some great games. I was able to watch one game this week. The other ones weren't even on.
And that's why these detailed
the highlight packages.
Well, the recaps we're going to do here on the podcast will probably always be a little more detailed than the NFL stuff.
Right.
The CFL, we all know y'all watch the NFL highlights and stuff, so we can gloss over some games. But with the CFL, we like to at least give them their due.
They do a great highlight package.
We spent 20 minutes on the NFL, even barely talking about like all the games. So we'll try to spend some time here with the CFL real quick. All right, we're going to start with Friday night. The Hamilton Tiger Cats got a big win over the Ottawa Red Blacks, 27-24. Hamilton quarterback Taylor Powell completed 21 passes for 326 yards and 3 touchdowns, while wide receiver Taylor White had 7 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown. For Ottawa, quarterback Dustin Crum completed 17 passes for 265 yards, but no touchdowns. He also ran the ball 9 times for 42 yards and a touchdown. Running back Devontae Williams carried the ball 17 times for 146 yards.
Yeah, I think this was the game that I was able to watch. This was the only one that was on CBS Sportsnet over the weekend. I didn't take the time to go look up these games on CFL Plus or anything, but I did watch all the highlight packages and a lot of great highlights from all of these games this weekend.
Yep. And then the Toronto Argonauts defeated the Montreal Alouettes 39-10. The Argos clinched a playoff spot. They are the first team to do that. Toronto quarterback Chad Kelly completed 21 passes for 278 yards, no touchdowns. He also ran the ball 2 times for 6 yards and scored a rushing touchdown. Running back A.J. Ouellette had 19 carries for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns, while kicker Boris Beatty made 4 field goals, the longest being from 51 yards. For Montreal, quarterback Cody Fajardo completed 21 passes for 236 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Cole Speaker caught 4 passes for 52 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, so the defending champs getting back in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, it seems like it's awfully early for somebody to be clinching a
week
playoff
14.
spot.
Yeah, that does seem a little early in the CFL.
But they weren't the only ones to clinch.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a minute. Then on Saturday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the annual Banjo Bowl, which was also a sellout, 51-6. Unbelievable. Wow. So yeah, Winnipeg with that big win in front of a sellout crowd of 32,344 people. This also helped the Blue Bombers clinch a playoff spot with that victory. So now we have 2 Canadian teams locked in, the 2 teams that were in the title game last year, being the first to get in.
The top team in the East and the top team in the West.
Yes, sir. And then Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros completed 18 passes for 319 yards and 5 touchdowns, while running back Brady Oliveira ran the ball 18 times for 154 yards. He also had 4 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Kenny Lawler had 4 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Dalton Schoen had 5 catches for 104 yards and 3 touchdowns. For Saskatchewan, quarterback Jake Dolagala completed just 15 passes for 113 yards and no touchdowns. And I was wondering if I was ever going to get corrected at some point during this. That was the first one. Dang it.
Yeah, let's not gloss over this. Quarterback Zach Collaros, 18 passes, 319 yards, and 5 touchdown passes. Man, oh man.
Sounds like a good game for him.
Then you had a running back that had 154 yards, and you had 2 receivers that both had 104 yards, one on 4 catches, one on just 5 catches. One had 1 touchdown, one had 2 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. So, man, what an offensive show by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, we all know they've had an explosive offense. It's just a matter of, they've had a few off games, but
yes, they have.
When they're on, they are on. And they were 2-time champs for a reason. They've been in 3 straight Grey Cups for a reason. So
could be 4.
We'll get there when we get there. And finally, on Saturday, the Edmonton Elks got their 3rd victory of the season, defeating the Calgary Stampeders in revenge for last week, 25-23. Calgary actually led this game 17-7 at halftime and also led 23-7 at the end of the 3rd quarter. But it was all Edmonton in the 4th as they scored 18 unanswered points, topped off by a game-winning 42-yard field goal by Dean Faithful as
Dean
time
Faithful.
Yep.
I just love that name. I had to throw that in there.
Edmonton quarterback Trey Ford completed 14 passes for 173 yards and a touchdown. He also ran the ball 8 times for 82 yards. Running back Kevin Brown carried the ball 15 times for 143 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Eugene Lewis had 5 catches for 89 yards, while wide receiver Dylan Mitchell had 2 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. On Calgary side of the ball, quarterback Jake Mayer completed 21 passes for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Kadeem Carey ran the ball 14 times for 77 yards, and wide receiver Reggie Begelton had 5 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, if your NFL team has been disappointing you, you might want to check out some CFL action and get your football fix up north of the border. They're playing some great football up there.
Yeah, it's always fun. We love the CFL.
And like I said, now 2 teams have actually clinched playoff spots with a few more to come in the weeks to go. This was only week 14?
Yep.
Yeah, week 14.
All right, and then on bye this week, the British Columbia Lions. So we're going to quickly run down the CFL standings. In the East, we already talked about them. The Toronto Argonauts at 10-1 have clinched a playoff spot. The number 2 seed in their division, the Montreal Alouettes at 6-6, followed by the 5-7 Hamilton Tiger Cats and the 3-9 Ottawa Red Blacks. In the West, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers clinched their playoff spot with a 10-3 record right now. British Columbia, the next spot with an 8-4 record, followed by the 6-6 Saskatchewan Roughriders, the 4-9 Calgary Stampeders, and now the 3-10 Edmonton Elks.
And the Elks are right there behind Calgary. They should have won last week, so they should have a tie record right now.
They should. All right, and then with that, we're going to send it over to Randy, who's got college football scores.
So much college football going on. There were 11 games this past weekend that were delayed by weather. Some as little as a half an hour, and some more than 5 hours before they could get these games in. So let's start with number one, Georgia over Ball State, 45-3. This is a continuation of last week when it was a blowout weekend. There, a lot of these top teams are still playing lower level teams, and
but not all of them.
the blowouts abound. Well, but not all. Yes. Let's see. Number 2, Michigan over UNLV, 35-7. Number 11, Texas upset number 3, Alabama, 34-24.
Didn't see that come. I didn't see that come. I even heard people talk about there's no way Alabama gives up this game.
Yeah.
But Texas, congratulations. They should be one of the biggest programs in the country, and it's been weird not having them be a top, 5 or 10 team in the last however many years. Yeah. Despite all the resources they have, you'd think that they would be like an Alabama type program, but maybe they finally figured things out and they're turned the tide.
Yeah, we shall see. Number 4, Florida State over Southern Miss, 66-13. Number 6, USC over Stanford, 56-10. Number 7, Penn State over Delaware, 63-7. Number 14, LSU over Grambling, 72-10. Come on, people. Let's score some, or let's get some real competition on these opening weekends. The first couple weeks are just.
I'm sure with this college realignment, it's gotta have to change.
Yeah, I would think so. You got more conference. You got to fit in more conference games.
It's gonna not look the same next year. That much is for certain.
Number 16, Oregon State over UC Davis, 55-7. Number 17, North Carolina over Appalachian State, 44-34 in 2 overtimes.
40-34.
What did I say?
You said 44.
Oh, 40-34 in 2 overtimes, yes. Washington State upset number 19, Wisconsin, 31-22. Number 20, Ole Miss over number 24, Tulane, 37-20. Number 22, Colorado over Nebraska, 36-14. That's 2 in a row for Coach Prime.
They double their win total.
I listened to this game on Sirius XM. I was out and about on Sunday and Saturday, yes. Well, I was out and about on Sunday too, but on Saturday, yeah, I was listening to this game. I found it on Sirius XM, and when I saw the highlights later, they didn't show a whole lot of highlights from this game, but there was some great play. Just listening to the play-by-play. Of course, they had the broadcast from the Colorado
Buffalo
broadcasting side. Team. Yeah, so they were, pro Colorado. But it was fun. They were so excited. So many great plays, interceptions, fumbles, whatever. This game was pretty exciting on the radio. I was really looking forward to seeing more highlights from what I heard on the radio, and they didn't show a whole lot. But that was a really exciting game on the radio. Let's see. Miami of Florida upset number 23 Texas A&M 44-33. Number 25
48-33.
What did I say?
You said 44. You're fascinated with the number 44 for some reason.
Let's see. Number 25 Clemson over Charleston State 66-17.
Charleston Southern.
Man, oh man. Let me take a drink here. I must be dehydrated.
Are you dehydrated? Yeah, they beat Charleston Southern 66-17.
Charleston Southern, all right. Syracuse over our beloved Western Michigan Broncos 48-7. Fordham upset Buffalo 40-37. Fordham is an FCS team. We talked about them in a history lesson, or not a history lesson, but a grave visit recently. Louisville shut out Murray State 56-0. San Jose State over Cal Poly 59-3. Toledo over Texas Southern 71-3. Utah State over Idaho State 78-28. That's a 50-point win there. Fresno State over Eastern Washington 34-31 in 2 overtimes. And it was Rice over Houston 43-41 in 2 overtimes.
At least you caught yourself there.
Yeah. And then finally, Oregon over Portland State 81-7. And I saw an article. I think I posted this on social media.
Wasn't that game was last week? That was their opening game win, the 81-7. Yeah.
Okay, I thought I heard that, but the point is, I reposted the story because in that game, an unnamed Portland State player had his helmet ripped off. He suffered a concussion, and according to one report, he had his ear ripped off. But the coach said no, it wasn't totally ripped off. They sewed it back on,
Jeez,
or something like that.
Oh.
So yeah, I just that was the point I wanted to make on that game. Another blowout by an inferior lower level team, and a player got really injured in that one. So hope he recovers from that. Let's move on to the military academies. This was a triple header on CBS Sportsnet on Saturday, as well as in the CFL. Those last three games were a triple header on a Saturday. Also, they had the one game on Friday night and then three games on Saturday. But in the military academies on Saturday, Army shut out Delaware State 57-0. Navy shut out Wagner 24-0, and Air Force defeated Sam Houston 13-3. Whew, we're not done yet. Now we're going to go down to the FCS level, and from here on, it's just three random scores that I picked out from all the games played. Abilene Christian over Prairie View 45-16. Mercer over Morehead State 48-22, and Howard over Morehouse 65-19. At the Division II level, it was Notre Dame of Ohio over West Virginia Wesleyan 87-9. And I thought, is that a scoregami? Is scoregami still a thing? You haven't mentioned that.
In the NFL, it is. I
just think 87-9 has got to be a score that's never been.
I'm sure there's a separate college scoregami that somebody's probably got out there. I could look it up.
But no, it doesn't matter. It's just the first thing I thought of. 87-9. When have you ever seen that score before? Probably never. So I'll continue. Millerville over Gannon 28-21. This is still at the Division II level. And Quincy shut out Madonna 89-0. Now moving on to Division III, it was Ithaca over Endicott 20-17, Kalamazoo College over Kenyon 48-16, and Susquehanna over SUNY Brockport 6-5. There are several SUNY teams out there, which stands for the State University of New York. So that's their Brockport location. But 6-5 was a pretty odd score, I thought. All right, moving on to NAIA scores. St. Francis of Illinois shut out St. Francis of Indiana 17-0. Dort of Iowa over Mount Marty 49-20. And Bethel shut out St. Andrews 77-0. Now moving on to the National Junior College Athletic Association. These are two-year colleges. Snow College, the Snow College Badgers defeated the St. George Junior College 45-3. It was Iowa Western over Garden City 44-27, and New Mexico Military over Navarro 50-30. Now let's move up to Canada for some of their college scores. U Sports up in Canada, it was Concordia over Sherbrooke 30-20 in two overtimes. McMaster shut out York 71-0. And I think it's pronounced Laurier. I think I've been pronouncing it Laurier because that's the way it's pronounced, but I think it's French. It's Laurier over Guelph 60-21. And finally, up in Canada, it was the Oklahoma Sooners shutting out the Greater Toronto Area Grizzlies 76-0.
Ottawa Sooners.
What did I say?
You said Oklahoma.
Did I say? It was the Ottawa Sooners. Yes.
Man, what a correction-filled episode today's been.
Yeah, I need a nap. Let's see. It was the London Beefeaters over the Quint Skyhawks 70-3, and the Okanagan Sun over the Vancouver Island Raiders 67-20. And finally, in our scoreboard, we had some scores from Greg James, our man in Japan, from the X League over in Japan. It was the Asahi Soft Drink Challengers over the Tokyo Gas Creators 17-13.
What names? What fantastic team names.
It was the IBM Big Blue over the Fukuoka Suns 38-3, and the Asahi Silver Stars over the Tainan Deers 28-24. Greg, if I mispronounce any of those names, let me know. I'm not sure on a few of those. But that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. What are we at? 30 minutes? More than 30 minutes?
Yeah, we're at 39 minutes right now.
The scoreboard is just finishing for this week.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Should I continue to do 3 scores from all these? Should I cut it down to 2 scores?
That
maybe?
is a lot. I do think it is a lot. I'm thinking maybe you just need to highlight one game from some of these lower levels.
One game?
I think one game.
There's
Probably,
so many.
I know there
scores
is.
And stuff, and I hate to.
I know you'd hate to shortchange him, but let us know, everybody. What do you think? Is Randy going a little too long? Do you want it shortened up? Maybe there's a different way we could approach some of these.
Yeah, I think 3 is a good average number because there's so many Division 3, Division 2 games. A lot of cool schools. I get to mention a different school every week.
Right.
But it does seem like it's taken a long time, and it's just going to get worse as the college and NFL seasons go along. But let's move on here. Let's move on to some NFL news. Let's see. We've already talked about Aaron Rodgers and his torn Achilles tendon. Um, and the other big story before that happened last night was the fact that Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is now the highest paid player in the NFL after he signed a 5-year, $250 million contract extension with $219 million being guaranteed. And you said he was going to be the next.
It was evident. It was him and Herbert kind of there that waiting both at the same time, and we all figured it was just a matter of when, not if, Burrow would get that big deal. And when he got hurt with that injury over the summer, we were like, "Ooh, does that put a big delay on it?" And maybe a little bit, but they got it done.
Yeah, they got it done, but he didn't get it done on the field, so they didn't get his money's worth out of him for last night's game check. That's for sure.
But I'm sure long term he's gonna be fine.
Probably. All right, and defensive end Nick Bosa of the 49ers became the highest paid defensive player in NFL history after agreeing to a 5-year contract extension worth $170 million. $122.5 million of that is guaranteed.
Oof, boy, that's a lot of money. But I mean, Bosa, he's worth it. I think he is one of the best defensive players in the league. Yeah. And I mean, shoot, you got to pay your guys if you want to keep that, keep that team rolling.
Well, I just remember a time when the Lions, had Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, and Ndamukong Suh, and they were the 3 highest paid players on that team, and they made up like 80% of the team budget, something like that, 75, 80. It was an incredibly high number. So you just knew that the rest of the team was, not making a whole lot of money. And, while they had some, Calvin was a Hall of Famer. Stafford might be in the Hall of Fame someday. Just, some great players there, surrounded by low paid players, and that's why they weren't doing much.
Well, I'd say it was not even just that they were low paid. It was just, they couldn't afford to pay talented guys.
They weren't getting any free agents, and
I mean, they had a few guys who, on decent contracts around them, but man, when you got to pay a handful of dudes all that money, it does kind of stifle your team a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why now they got all that salary cap wizardry that, gives you some flexibility, like when the Rams won that Super Bowl a couple years ago with Stafford. So we'll see. They'll figure it out. They usually just end up pushing that money down the road.
Yeah. Let's see, the Hard Knocks finale last week. I watched it a few days after it aired. You were out of town all weekend. You just watched it.
I watched it today.
So, what did you think?
So it was a very man. It seemed like they were just filling time.
Yeah. I said it was very anticlimactic.
Yeah, like
just like a wasted episode.
Yeah, having just watched. I mean, they spent the opening minute just like going down a hallway and like just trying to. It seemed like they were grasping for things to kind of talk about because there's no preseason game. They weren't really. They kind of seemed like they struck a deal with the Jets not to show a whole lot of cuts.
Right.
So it was like they were just grasping at things to talk about. Like they had to have a 5th episode, but they couldn't show the cuts, and they didn't really know what to do. So it was a lot of stagnant shots, or slowly moving down a hallway, and like there was not even a voiceover for a while as it's going down this hallway. I'm just like, we're just filling up time. Like it set the tone. It's like we're just filling out time, and then you get your couple of players that we talked about, the free agent wide receivers that made the team, Gibson, who obviously had a touchdown, which was cool to see in retrospect.
Right.
Trying to think what else. You had the team go to a Broadway play, some sort of Michael Jackson play. I didn't catch that, but they spent so much time to showing that the actual play itself. I was like, wow, yeah, we're really just milking a lot of things. Then they had a couple. Then they showed the one player, the lineman, the defensive guy who got cut. Tenzin, I forget his name.
Tenzin, I don't remember.
But he's the one who was kind of on the team and has been jumping around, but they cut him, and then he at the end was back on the practice squad or whatever. So not a whole bad story, but you could see they showed players looking like they were getting shown out the door, but they didn't focus on them. So I was like, that was a little weird, and maybe that kind of worked. We didn't need to see all these guys get cut.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it did just feel like an episode where they were just like treading water, like, oh, now what do we talk about? And that's why they spent 5 minutes talking to Aaron Rodgers about UFOs. Like, well, we better just.
That was the most interesting thing out of the whole
I figured
episode.
you'd like that part.
Oh yeah, that was great. Talking about how he was at a friend's house and they
right before the NFL draft apparently.
Yes, yeah, just before he was drafted in the NFL back in whatever year that was. But yeah, and then to say that after they saw this UFO go by, they heard fighter jets chasing it or going after it, and it was near a nuclear power plant. That's, I mean, if you've watched any Ancient Aliens or anything like that, that's classic. I mean, that's every encounter they show.
That could be another podcast Randy does. Everybody just ask him.
I've watched a lot of those shows. That and Bigfoot and the Loch Ness monster. They're all fascinating. I'll watch anything on those subjects.
Yeah, but in the end, I think it was a average season of Hard Knocks. Definitely had some really high highs. Definitely had some really boring lows. It just sucked that, like, unlike the Lions, and maybe we're biased because of it. Like, it felt like the Lions had more in their season of 5 episodes to kind of latch onto. You were more connected to some of these coaches. While they showed some of the Jets coaches, I couldn't tell you their names. They didn't focus on them enough for me to go, you know what, I like Dan Campbell, or I mean, obviously Robert Saleh, the big one, but like I like that defensive coach they had, or I like that wide receivers coach. But like with the Lions, it seemed like they kept jumping around to like Aaron Glenn and Deuce Staley and their little fun rivalry that literally spanned all the episodes. Like, so there was stuff there, but then this one, it was like all over the place. It was like one episode.
It was the Aaron Rodgers show for most of it. And one episode, they actually concentrated on several of the other players. Some who were going to make the team, some that weren't. But those were the fascinating stories, I thought. The other players that, may not make the team, you may never hear from them again, or like in Gibson's position, you get to follow him a little bit and hear his story, and then all of a sudden, boom, he makes the team, and what does he do? He scores the winning touchdown on Monday Night Football.
And his buddy, who they became friends as undrafted free agents, and they both make the team.
Yep.
So like that was cool. Why like couldn't you have focused on them from week 1? That would have been a great journey to follow these two guys. So some missed opportunity, and then there was I almost knocked all my microphone over. I'm just trying to like adjust myself. But no, then like they focused on that one running back whose family was from Nigeria.
Oh yeah,
who got hurt last week.
Yep.
And so like that was cool that they focused on him a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like they kind of petered out. It was a season that just kind of petered out as it went. It was interesting, and it just slowly became uninteresting.
If you were going to put a grade on this season
of
Hard Knocks, I'm going to give it maybe a C- or a D+.
C+. I mean, it wasn't so bad that I was like, you wasted my time. Like that last episode felt like treading water.
I did feel like I wasted my time.
But I do feel like say what you will about Aaron Rodgers, he was entertaining. Yeah, he probably knew where the camera was. Yeah, he probably definitely did some stuff just for the camera.
Sure.
But
a lot of that.
I was entertained. Hard Knocks always gets you to buy into the hype of that team. Like, oh my God, they might actually be good this year. Right. I've said that every year since I started watching. Like, man, these Tampa Bay Buccaneers look good. Nope. Oh man, these Cleveland Browns look like they're going to be good. Nope. Oh man, these Las Vegas Raiders with Antonio Brown, and they might be something. Nope.
The Lions might do something. Well, not for half a season, but the
Dallas Cowboys, they actually had a decent season that year. The Rams and Chargers season was interesting, focusing on 2 teams.
The only thing I remember about that Cowboys one was the
drone shot
going through the facility and everything. That was so awesome.
There's a few things.
I'd watch that again today.
Like when I look back on Hard Knocks and I think about all the stuff I'll remember going down the road, there were a few things. I'll remember charcuterie board.
Oh yeah.
I'll remember Quinnen Williams was fantastic on the show, the defensive lineman. He incredible, and he showed up during that game that I saw too. That dude is a beast. Sauce Gardner being one of the best corners in the league. I like Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver they got there. Robert Saleh, he was a guy that I thought the Lions would get before they hired Campbell. And seeing him in New York, getting to see his coaching style, I think he could have worked in Detroit. Hard to say what kind of roster he would have built, but I like Saleh as a head coach. We'll see if it pans out for him in New York. Right now, it looks bad.
Yeah.
But hey, I think when I look back on it, I'm sure there'll be a few memories I'll be able to pick out from this season and be like, it wasn't so bad. Nothing like the Lions season. That one was special. Maybe only because we're Lions fans, but it did seem like it was genuinely interesting and that they showed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so, learned a lot about our own team.
Yeah.
I think on this one, you only learned a lot about Aaron Rodgers. That's just
what Aaron Rodgers wants you to think or know about him.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Chris Mortensen, at the age of 71, has retired from ESPN. I guess this actually happened after the draft in April, but it's just now being made public. He spent over 30 years at ESPN and started there in 1991. I think it was his 33rd draft that he covered this last spring. And I guess he worked for a couple of newspapers covering the NFL before he got into ESPN. But I mean, he's been such a mainstay there. It's hard to think of not seeing Chris Mortensen on a pregame show or a highlight show or something like that. He will be missed. He was good. I liked him.
I mean, it was also like weird seeing like Scott Van Pelt at the Monday night game instead of your Lisa Saunders. Was it Lisa Saunders or
no
yep, you're blanking on her name. Susie Culver.
Susie Culver, yes.
Weird not seeing her.
Yes.
I don't know who else was with Van Pelt there, but
I just saw him at his desk at one point, and by then I was getting ready.
So that was weird to get used to.
Yeah. Let's see. NFL Premier patch was worn by rookies playing in their first game over the past weekend. I don't know if they're going to wear them all season long. Did you see that patch?
I saw it on a few guys. I didn't notice it in the Lions highlights, but I definitely saw it in some of the other games. And I like that they spelled Premier where the I was a number 1 because it was their first game. So it sounds like it's just for rookies making their first game debut.
I guess Major League Baseball has been doing this. I don't follow baseball, so I didn't know that. But they showed, like a baseball patch where they have the rookies wearing that.
I'm down for more patches.
It was cool.
I like stuff like that.
One game patch or something. Yeah.
I think it'd be good if like a rookie had that all season, like maybe a 1 or something on like corner of their jersey or an R on there for rookie. I don't know if that would be something, but I did think that was a cool thing they started doing, even if they took it from baseball.
Yeah. Speaking of patches, the Kansas City Chiefs wore a patch on their uniforms with the initials of Norma Hunt, their former owner, who passed away on June 4th. I thought that was pretty cool, little tribute to her.
They're usually pretty good about that sort of stuff, honoring that team's history and all that. So that was nice to see.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, you brought this to my attention a little while ago. The October 1st game in London between the Falcons and the Jaguars is going to be broadcast on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus as Toy Story-inspired characters playing in Andy's room. I posted this little video in advertisement for it, and it just seems so weird. I mean, it looks kind of cool. I don't know if I could watch a whole game like that, but they're trying to indoctrinate these kids into the NFL. With
they're also trying to get
slime time and all that.
Yeah, true, and they're also trying to maybe get some fans to sign up for Disney Plus to check it out.
Could be.
That's the end game with all these streaming services.
True. They got to give you something special.
And luckily, I already got Disney Plus, so I'll probably have to check it out. Hopefully, I remember to check it out. It's at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how the technology is going to work, and hopefully they'll have a special about how they're doing it. Like, I don't see, unless all those guys are wearing motion capture suits, I don't know how accurate all these movements are going to be.
Technology is beyond me, but supposedly it's going to be, live as it's happening. You'll see these characters in Andy's room doing exactly what the players on the field are doing, throwing a pass, running the ball, scoring a touchdown, kicking a field goal, whatever. It's all going to be, live animated characters.
Man, well, they got less than a month to hopefully work out all the kinks.
Well, I'm sure they've got it all worked out already. Otherwise, they wouldn't be saying they're going to be doing it if they didn't know it was going to work. So they must know it's going to work. But just that was interesting. In some college news, here's one of those stories that we don't like to talk about very often, but it's a big story over the last few days, so I figured we at least had to mention it. Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker is suspended without pay after being accused of sexual assault. He has a 10-year, $95 million contract and is one of the highest paid college coaches in the country. MSU secondary coach Harlan Barnett will serve as the acting head coach, and former MSU head coach Mark D'Antonio will become an associate head coach. Tucker denies the allegations, and it's not lost on me that this is the same school that brought you Larry Nassar a few years ago. So I don't know what's going on at Michigan State, but something needs to change there.
And from what I read, and if I'm wrong, forgive me, but I want to say that one of the articles I read is the alleged victim here was part of some of the Larry Nassar stuff, and so it's like a weird.
That I don't know, but she ran a program where she came and talked. She was
so maybe she was involved with.
She was a survivor of sexual abuse, and she goes around talking to teams about her experience and hopefully to educate them on things they should and shouldn't do. And she was brought in, I guess, by Mel Tucker.
Yeah, and they said they were friends, and then it just kind of, allegedly, things happen. But
I don't even want to talk about
I know, but
the details of this thing.
It's just, what a weird thing, because to see that over the weekend, and then there was a lot of outlets saying that he was actually fired, and now it's a suspension.
Yeah.
So what a weird.
But they've known about this in the newspaper.
Since December.
In the newspaper today, they had a timeline of all these things, and so the school has known about it since the first of the year. And they've done their own investigation, but it just came out after last week's game. I mean, he coached them against the Richmond Spiders.
So it's like you knew this was coming, but he coached 2 games.
And then after that game, the next day is when they suspended him. And
it's
the timing is weird. The whole situation is weird, and I don't know. It's just another black eye on Michigan State University. I hate to see that, but
so clearly there's something amok with some of the hiring people there. Higher up. Who knows? It's just. You hate to see it from a university. Like I have friends that went to Michigan State and talk about how great it is, but hear some of this stuff is just very disappointing, especially when it's in your backyard and you're going to have to hear national media cover a school like that from your state.
Yeah, it was everywhere the other night. It was on the national news, it was on the local news, and every time there was a news thing, that was the first thing they brought up. So it was just very upsetting. All right. So let's move on. Lastly, in our news section today, I have a little story on some high school news. You remember the coach who was fired for praying on the field with his team?
Yeah.
Well, he won his Supreme Court case a few months ago, and he got his job back at his old high school. He coached 1 game and then quit. The High Court ruled that Bremerton School District in Washington State violated Coach Joe Kennedy's First Amendment rights, saying prayers amount to private speech and could not be restricted by the school district. Now, this all started back in 2008 when he started praying before games and maybe after games by himself, either on the field or on the sideline. So it was just something he did on his own. But then in 2015, I guess some of the players began to join him on the field. So they all took a knee and prayed before or after the games. He was ultimately placed on paid administrative leave, then suspended from the program and given a poor performance evaluation by the school district. So this has been going on for a long time. I mean, this story has been out there. It's good that he won his case and got his job back, but would you want to continue working at a school that suspended you or fired you because of this? And now he got his vindication from the Supreme Court, saying that what you did was not wrong and the school district was wrong. But yeah, I mean, to come back and just coach 1 game and then say, you know what, I've made my point, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would have gotten to coach that 1 game.
That would have been tough.
I would have been, look, like you were in the wrong, and I'm going to see myself out because you guys, we had to go through this whole thing, and so I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big prayer person. Look, any person, do what you want to do. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to criticize you. Do what you got to do. I wouldn't do that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, just I don't know, out in public like that.
Just to me, it's the fact that the school was so offended by this. You see this all the time. NFL games, players get together and they pray after a game or something like that.
That's fine. That's what they want to do.
Why is the school district, is so open arms about it?
Right.
I don't know.
It's weird. I don't know what they were thinking. Why parents would be offended. I mean, if it's one person, it's unless he was doing something else that they were kind of sketched out about with him getting their kids involved. Who knows? I don't know. That's just weird speculation on my part. But to lose your job over something like that, I mean, like they said, it's his First Amendment right. It's private speech. It's, freedom of religion type of stuff. It's not like he was, making kids pray with him.
Right.
If that were the case, that'd be totally different. Right. But if it was, they just said, "Hey, coach, I want to do this with you," and that's their thing. Like, who cares?
Right. So yeah, my whole takeaway was he won, he got his job back, he came back and he coached, and then he quit after one game. So good for him, I guess. All right, let's move on. Today's birthdays and anniversaries. September 12th, quarterback Andrew Luck turns 34 years old today. He played his college football at Stanford. He was the first overall pick in the 2012 NFL draft by the Indianapolis Colts. He played for the Colts from 2012 to 2018. He missed the 2017 season with a shoulder injury. And he walked away from the game during the 2019 preseason. You remember he showed up to a game in street clothes, and he was going to make an announcement the next day, I think, that he was leaving the game, and
it got leaked.
And it got leaked by Adam Schefter, I think, and so it was during the game. So he actually had to stand in front of reporters that night before and tell them that he was leaving.
That'll be something I'll never forget. And all the people who were crying and complaining that they just drafted Andrew Luck in their fantasy league that night, like, that cracks me up. But I mean, look, he did what he thought he needed to. I'm glad to see that he has stuck by his decision and didn't, just come back. Like, it's been 4 years since he's done this, and I mean, kudos to him.
I mean, yeah, some people they just lose that desire, or they see just how all consuming being in the NFL can be.
And it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody, no. And those that succeed should be commended. But if it's not for you,
and to be in the position you're the starting quarterback,
right? All the attention
of a franchise,
criticism,
and I mean, he's very talented. I don't know if it'll get him into the Hall of Fame or not. Had he played a few more years, probably could have. But he was a good quarterback. He was a smart quarterback, and I think he made a smart move for his own health. Just saying, hey, instead of putting my body through all this again, I'm done. Like, and I respect guys who do that. Like, but you'll have some maniacs out there who just, I'm gonna glue and tape every limb of my body together as long as it gets me, to play in this game. I'm gonna do it. Like, it's just how you're made up, and there's nothing wrong with walking away if that's what you need.
Yeah, everybody's got a different mindset on that. The other birthday that we've got today is guard and tackle Ralph Neely. Born on this date in 1943, he passed away in 2022 at the age of 78. He played his college football at Oklahoma and was selected in the second round of the 1965 NFL draft by the Baltimore Colts. He was also selected in the second round of the 1965 American Football League draft by the Houston Oilers. He chose to sign with the Colts, who then traded him to the Dallas Cowboys. He played 13 seasons in the NFL, all with the Dallas Cowboys, from 1965 to 1977, and he won 2 Super Bowls. So I guess getting traded from the Colts was not a bad deal for him. Things worked out pretty well.
I'd say so.
Yep. And then we do have one obituary this week. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. This actually is from a few weeks ago, and I just found it. A guy by the name of Jim Romanishin, spelled really weird, but he was a linebacker in the NFL for 3 seasons, and he's passed away at the age of 71. Romanishin played college football at Division II Edinburgh State in Pennsylvania, and was selected in the 13th round of the 1973 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. He played for the Browns in 1973 and 1974, and finished his short playing career with the New England Patriots in 1976. And finally today we're going to move on to our upcoming events calendar. Sunday, October 1st, the first of several games overseas, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. That's going to be at 9:30 in the morning, and that's going to be that Toy Story FUNDAY that they're advertising. The next Sunday, October 8th, Jacksonville versus Buffalo in London. Again, all these London games are 9:30 in the morning this year. And then Sunday, October 15th, Baltimore versus Tennessee at 9:30 in the morning from London. And October 28th, the CFL regular season comes to an end. We've got more games coming up in November, but we'll move on to those when it gets a little bit closer to November. Anything else you want to talk about before this long, long show comes to an end today?
Nope, no breaking news as of right now.
Okay, we're actually doing this a little early today, so something will probably pop up as soon as we stop.
I'm sure. Usually Tuesdays is always crazy, but we got a lot of projects to get to.
Yeah.
So we could just wrap it up.
All right, let's do that. That's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow our X account where the address is at the TWOF Kalamazoo, as well as our Instagram, which is also TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every single Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to, quote, play the World of Football podcast, unquote, to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube channel. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo in the search bar, or go to www.youtube.com/@theworldoffootball. Then you'll be able to find us that way. Please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Give us a like on all our videos. It helps us out. You have no idea. We are so close to getting to 500 subscribers on our YouTube. Yes. We are 12 subscribers away. So tell all your friends about us. We'd appreciate it. And we'll hit 500 subscribers, and that'd be a great milestone to hit before the end of the month. That'd be a really cool thing.
Yep.
So let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all next week.